Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Pin Tool Podcast. My name is Al Wayman, owner of Creek Road Pottery in Laceyville, Pennsylvania, next to the cold Tuscarora Creek. Pull up a chair around the wheel as we discuss topics concerning the art and craft of pottery, good books, storytelling, marketing, and creating work that matters for folks who care.
Greetings, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Pin Tool Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 7 already, and it is the last end of March. So hopefully things start warming up. The old Tuscarora Creek is running kind of fast. We've had a lot of rain the last week or two, and the ground is a bit saturated. Sun was out yesterday and warmed things up. Tomorrow is Easter Sunday. So at the time of this recording, this is Easter Eve, and you will probably hear this on Easter Sunday. So if you celebrate Easter, have a great holiday. So we're going to be taking a little bit of a break from the business model canvas study that we've been doing, and we're going to have a chat about a breakthrough that I had in my thinking this week. And it was quite amazing. So I want to talk to you about that. The spring show 2024 here at Creek Road Pottery went fairly decent. Never going to complain and say I had a terrible show, because customers, they don't owe me anything. And I always appreciate it, even if one person shows up and I sell one thing, as I've said before. It was down from previous years a little bit. And so I need to do some other things, because I was going to use the money that I raised selling the pots to put it in the gravel pad and then the concrete pad for the wood kiln. So I have a few numbers that I can call that were recommended to me to have the concrete put in. And so hopefully I can get that started soon. Got to do the meet and greet. My friend Nan is trying to help me schedule that with her studio, because the kiln originally came from her studio. And so I want to have a meet and greet out there, have a little potluck, maybe meet the people who will be coming down to help me fire the kiln when I do fire it and finally get it up. And also the people who might help me rebuild in some way. So we're trying to get that started, because I don't want this project to be forgotten about, because having a kiln is a very big responsibility. And every day, if I didn't get to it, I would see all those bricks, the stacks of regret out there on the pallets, because this is a tradition that was handed down to me, and this is an art form. Even constructing the kiln is an art form, right? So I owe tradition and my mentors and the past to carry this on. It's a big responsibility, but it's also an adventure, and it's also a type of hero's journey. So I'm trying to work through that, keep that project alive and moving, even if it's in little steps. So I need to make some better pots and more pots to sell to raise money for that kiln rebuild. I think I may have to buy maybe another pallet of bricks, because there were a lot of breakies in there. Not a lot. I tried to do the best I could taking it apart, but things happen, right? Things happen in stacking, things happen in the transport a little bit. So there's always some. And then I need to start buying raw materials, get them here, especially China clay and some other things to mix the mortar. And also I may need to make more of the handmade brick that is going to go into the firebox. So I'm kind of excited about all that, and I'm kind of excited to at least have somebody come out here to get an estimate on putting in the concrete pad, find out what the cost is going to be. So I have a target to work towards when raising funds for that particular project. So have a few more shows coming up in April, and I'm going to a homesteading event at Washington County Fair. My brother-in-law over at the Homestead Journey podcast helped put that together and organize that with a bunch of people, and so that's going to be exciting. I'm going to be in Scranton, I think, in 2 weeks at the Cultural Center in Scranton, Pennsylvania, for a spring show. So that'll be fun. Want to get some mugs out of the kiln. I'm going to be throwing the mugs over Easter break on my days off. So I'll probably be taking the holiday to throw. Got a leak in the pottery shed roof somewhere. I need to climb up there. I think I got a nail backing out, right? And I need to pound that nail in, put a shingle over it, and patch that up before things progress into something worse. Went to a used bookstore, found some great books, and I'll list this book in the show notes. It's called Cræft, an inquiry into the origins and true meaning of traditional crafts by Alexander Langlands. And it is an excellent little book. Probably halfway through it now, and I'm really enjoying it. It has a section on pottery in there. So if you get a chance to pick up this book, it's an excellent book. Let me see when it was written. I have it in front of me here. So, let me see the date. 2017 it was published. So, yes, it's a fun book to read. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break from the business model canvas for a little while. We're about halfway through it, right? And we are going to talk about doing pottery after work and how to view yourself, for many of us who have full-time jobs, but also make pots. And work-life balance, is there such a thing? Is there such a thing? And also, ways to view your job, your hobby, your career, and your vocation, right? And we'll talk about what those terms are, because those are important words to understand, because it relates to how you view yourself when you're doing all those things. And there's an excellent video that I watched that was recommended to me by some friends in a group, and I'm going to put that video in the show notes. So be sure to check that video out. It's very powerful and changed and made me feel better about how I view myself making pots after work. So I'm going to sit in the pottery office, and you can sit in there also with me, because we're taking a break for the holiday a little bit, and there's plenty of room in the Creek Road Pottery office to pull up a chair and grab a coffee, meet me in the pottery office, and we'll talk about pottery as a vocation. All right, friends, I'll meet you there. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Pottery Shed office. Stop on in, pull up a chair, plenty of room. And we're going to talk about the video by Elizabeth Gilbert, Distinguishing Between Hobbies, Jobs, Careers, and Vocation. Elizabeth Gilbert is a journalist, and she first wrote a memoir in 2006, I believe. Eat, Love, Live. It was a pretty famous one. And then they later in 2010, I think, made a movie about it. But she does talks, and she talks a lot about creativity and how to manage life and being creative and life coaching, maybe. But anyways, the video that I mentioned totally changed my view about how I see myself as a potter and also having a job in manufacturing. And one of the big frustrations that I had was manufacturing taking up tons of time, right? And I was really kicking myself that I was exhausted on my days off and didn't feel like doing pots because I got ran over at the job. And I was pretty miserable. Like, I was feeling bad about not getting pots done. I was feeling bad about maybe making lazy work because of the effort I put in. I didn't have a lot of effort because I was exhausted and how the job was eating me up, even though I was getting paid for it, right? So, work-life balance. I don't know if there is such a thing. Seth Godin talks about that. You can check out some of his stuff. I'm a huge Seth Godin fan. He's a business coach kind of thing, but he runs a blog. He worked making video games and ended up being an executive and in some kind of executive role in Yahoo and all types of things. So you can check him out for sure, and you may even know him because I've mentioned him before on the shows. So he has this group called Purple Space, and it's a place where people can go who are working on projects, and they encourage one another, and it's a paid subscription place, and you can receive input on projects people are working on, and I've met a lot of new friends there. And one of those friends put Elizabeth Gilbert's video on my dailies post, and it blew my mind. So it totally freed me on how I think about the pots and my job. So in that video, she talks about what a hobby is, and she says a hobby is a thing that you do so you don't think that you're a cog in the system. You do something else for enjoyment, and it makes your life more pleasant, and it helps you to relax, and it allows you to have a creative outlet. So you're not just a worker. And that was pretty interesting. She was saying also that a hobby is something that everybody may not know about. You don't need a hobby. You may not make any money off it. It's just something that you do to relax and for your enjoyment. Then she talked about the job. And the way she defined it was a job is a thing that you do or you give your services to, and they pay you, and you go home. That's it. So thinking about it that way, she said that a lot of creatives had jobs and did work jobs. And relating this back to the pottery, a lot of potters who are professional potters do have jobs. They may have careers in pottery, but they also have jobs that support their pottery. And so that changed it for me. So the job that I work at the paper factory, even though it eats up a lot of my time, paid for the studio until the pots got going, paid for a lot of things that I do, pays for my health insurance, pays for a host of things, pays for the house. I'm not homeless. I wouldn't be making as many pots if I didn't have the job, right? So I have to go there. I have to show up. It's a responsible thing to do. I can pay my bills, live fairly comfortably for the time being by going and showing up at the job. Then Elizabeth Gilbert talks about careers. And she said that maybe your job is meaningful and you put a lot of time into it because you believe in what your employer is doing and their values. So you put a lot of time into it, a lot of extra time into it. That becomes your calling, and you may spend years on it, and you feel good about that and fulfilled because your job is your career. And the work you do there, you believe makes change and is meaningful. Then she mentioned a vocation. And she said that a vocation is a higher calling, something that you feel compelled to do. It's more than a hobby. It's more than a job. It's more than a career. And you would do this if you didn't have anything else. You would still do this. And that was amazing to me because she said that you didn't need a career, but you may need a job to live, but you didn't need a hobby. So distinguishing those terms on what they were helped me out a great deal because now I beat myself up less. I said, yeah, I got to go to the job. I got to show up because they give me good money to do silly things. And so I'm not going to make that kind of money probably anyplace else in this area. And been there 18 years. So I almost made it a career. But what I do, I just know I'm a cog. I try to be a linchpin, right? But they're both linchpins and cogs are replaced. Linchpins, it hurts a little bit more for them to replace, but no worries. There's plenty of people to step in. So it is what it is. So to me, my values don't allow totally align with the companies all the time. I don't want them to because I don't want to be known as a good paper maker, right? I want to be known and have my story told that I did positive change making pots, right? My last day on earth, I'm not going to say, man, I wish I made more paper towels. But I am going to say, maybe, I wish I made a few more pots, right? Don't let them dry out. Cover them up before they get too dry for handling. And meet me in the Elysian fields in the back corner. And we'll fire some kilns in the afterlife, if such a place exists, right? I will say that. So, knowing the difference between a hobby, a job, a career, and a vocation was so freeing for me. And it changed my whole outlook, and I got excited about it, and I posted it in Clay Buddies. So a few of you seen that probably if you're in that group. And I had a few people PM me and say, hey, Al, that was a really good video. It was helpful for me because I do pottery after work. And I also beat myself up, find myself exhausted, and maybe beat myself up because I didn't have a career or feel bad because I didn't have a career in pottery. But guess what? I don't need a career in pottery. So, and Elizabeth Gilbert explains that. She says, they can take your job, they can take your career, they can take your hobbies, but they can never take your vocation, your calling. And it's always there. So the muse is always there. You just need to meet up with her. They always wait. And you don't need to wait for them. You just need to meet them at the creative spot of making and starting. When you start, they'll be there every time. So if you make pottery after work, do the best you can, right? Don't beat yourself up. If you want more time for your vocation, you have to give something up. Maybe it's time to give up your job. Maybe, things got worse. Maybe I'd need to go look for another job. Maybe I'd need 2 jobs, right? To do more of my vocation. So I kind of took it easy on myself the last couple of days. It's been very freeing. And so it changed my perspective on making. As long as I'm doing something, putting one foot in front of the other in the space that I'm in, and allowing that creativity to flow, I think things will progress as they should, right? So I've been writing a lot, and I've been doing a lot of self-reflection in journaling and all of that, and that's been very important, being in the Purple Space group. I'll post a link to that in case a few of you may want to sign up for that. If you come in, say hi to me, right? So I started writing the Pottery Dailies on Substack, and if you want, you can sign up for that free of charge. You'll get something. You'll get some bad writing in your email every day because I'm committed to it, and I'm starting to be committed to writing every day, right, as practice, because I want to be committed to the pots every day. So writing for me in this situation was easier to start as a practice, and then I want to move it into having the pots be a practice every day, where I may go and throw a wearboard no matter what. So I need to get to that point. Writers write, potters pot, runners run. So right now, I might be more of a writer than I am of a potter, but hopefully I can change that. And I can start right now if I want to. So I got to go and throw some 2-poundy bowls, and got a show coming up. Got some custom orders on mugs, so I need to get them going. So thanks for stopping by the pottery office and having a chat with me about hobbies, jobs, careers, and vocation. And I hope that you have time to check out the video in the show notes by Elizabeth Gilbert. She has some excellent videos out and talks that she gives, and it's amazing when somebody just randomly shows up and hands you something that you can use, and it changes your whole perspective on everything. Okay, friends, well, take care. Be sure to like this podcast if you find value in it. It helps me. And tell some friends. That helps me too. And stop by and say hello at the website. I got a newsletter coming up telling you about some things. I try to post some helpful articles there on budgeting and cost analysis and give tips. So if you feel like stopping over, go ahead. All right. Take care of yourselves and each other, and happy potting.